You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen, with my co-host, Jim Wilson, Newmark, Kate Duffy, Wisfis, Bank, Chuck Zwicker, Weidenhammer, Julia Langen, Consumer 51, and Marty Wollner from Executive Leaders Radio. And Mr. Zwicker, can you give us a rundown of who we have on the show today, please?
Sure, Herb. We got a great lineup today. We're going to start by talking with Bob Clements, who's a partner with FRS Advisors. We'll be speaking with Tara Sipe, who is a VP of Commercial Lending with Meridian Bank, Richard Green, who is the Executive Chairman and owner of First Trust Bank, and then wrapping up with Jonathan Friedan, who is a Senior Principal at Ballinger.
Gotcha. Let's get to know our first guest, Bob Clements, partner at FRS Advisors. Bob, what is FRS Advisors? What are you guys doing?
We're a boutique wealth management and financial planning firm working with business owners and executives.
Gotcha. Where you're from, how many brothers and sisters, and where are you in the pecking order?
I grew up in a row home in Philadelphia, a very blue-collar neighborhood, and I'm an only child.
Uh-huh. What was the upside or downside of an only child, and what's that have to do with who you are nowadays?
I think the upside was that you learn to be a little creative and independent. The downside was, times of loneliness, trying to find a way to fit in, make friends, having to work harder to make friends.
Gotcha. 8 to 14. What were the major things you were doing 8 to 14 years old?
Baseball, sports, riding bikes with friends. I did an overnight camp in New Hampshire and hanging around in the neighborhood.
And you mentioned your parents got divorced when you were 4, and your mom would tell other adults that, that you didn't need to be the man in the house, that you needed to be a kid. But it sounds to me like the reason she would tell everybody that you needed to be the kid, not the man in the house, is because you really were taking responsibility.
I took responsibility around the house. And I think intrinsically I looked out for my mom and cared about her wellness or well-being. But yeah, there was no need
Isn't
for
it
protection.
isn't it possible the fact that you were looking out for your mom, isn't that exactly what you do for your clients nowadays?
It is. I look out to make sure that they've done the right planning to protect their families in emergencies or loss.
Gotcha. Chuck, you want to give me a hand, please?
Yeah, Bob, let's go back to your early years. I noticed you were a graduate of LaSalle College High School. That's a well-known school in Philadelphia. It's a Catholic boys' school, prep school. What did that teach you about yourself? What did the Christian Brothers teach you about yourself?
The Christian Brothers taught me a lot of accountability, responsibility, independence as well, kindness and generosity.
Mm-hmm. And Jim, you want to give me a hand, please?
Yeah, Bob, after your parents' divorce, your mom sent you to camp in New Hampshire to give you exposure to a bigger world. When did it hit you that what she was doing wasn't easy, that it was a real sacrifice?
It probably didn't hit me till a lot later in life when she had lost her job when I was in high school. And I think that's when it really hit me that she's stretching herself financially, emotionally, and even physically to get me to LaSalle every day, to give me a life that she didn't have and that she wanted me to have.
Kate?
And being at that camp away from everything familiar opened your eyes to something bigger. What did that experience show you about the world or about what was possible for you?
It showed me that there was a whole other class of people in the world that I'd never seen before, other parts of the country that I didn't know existed, and that I sailed up there. I didn't even know what sailing was before I went to that camp. So I just learned that the world was much bigger than the neighborhood I grew up in.
Kate?
Yeah. So, Bob, you talked about working harder, and you're also a product of a divorced family, which can be financially difficult. What role has financial success played in your sense of identity?
So my personal financial success, I don't take a lot. I don't identify as that. It's more, I feel I work harder and try to make money because I feel I have an obligation to give back, whether it's to my clients, giving back with my time to make myself available, or through philanthropic endeavors. I just really believe that my role in this world is to make it a better place than what I found it.
Julia?
Bob, you mentioned that your mom taught you a lot of empathy and her sacrifices, showed you that there was a bigger world. How come you stayed in Philly?
I think without even realizing it, that I never wanted to leave. I felt responsible to be close to my mom. And never wanted to leave her, being an only child of a divorced family. She did remarry later on, but I don't think I ever wanted her to feel alone or be alone because of how much she sacrificed her life to give me the life that I
Mm-hmm.
had.
Marty?
Bob, you help families manage their money now, and you mentioned earlier that you helped your mom manage her money at a very young age. How does that impact you, that experience impact how you help your families now?
I think it helps me understand that everybody's going through a different thing financially. Whether it's a struggle or a goal or an objective, everybody's dealing with something, and it allows me to empathize with that, relate to it, and hopefully have a plan to help alleviate some of the stress that they may be feeling.
Mm-hmm. Chuck?
Bob, I want to go back to something you said in the green room that I think is important. You said something about living with imposter syndrome and how it caused you to work harder as a kid. Unpack that for me.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was a tiny kid. I didn't start high school. I started high school when I was 13 years old. So I was very small. And my whole life, I was smaller, never the most intelligent, kind of goofy looking. I never felt I fit in. So I was constantly working harder to try to establish myself and stand out and be the better version of myself. And I still suffer with the imposter syndrome. I've exceeded every level of success I ever expected for myself. And I still have that drive, but I don't know that that'll ever leave me, but it keeps me focused and keeps me working hard and pushing.
So you volunteer time now with an organization called Turning Points for Children. Is there a connection there with kind of how you saw yourself when you were younger?
For sure. I mean, there's a lot of kids in Turning Points that really come from nothing, don't have families, maybe were displaced, my situation was not that extreme, but I feel again I have that obligation to try to help these kids and these families achieve a better life and some level of normalcy.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned that you have three boys. What have you learned from your kids that has anything to do with growing this business?
It's the hard work that you need to put in to be a parent, how much time it takes, and also how to slow down. I think with my business growing, it was push, push, push. I was constantly in growth mode. Having kids forced me to take a step back and say, you actually have to put some time and thoughtfulness into being a parent. So I also need to do the same thing with my business and my clients, is just slow down a little and spend a little more time and thoughtfulness on the actual business itself and not just the growth of the business.
Do you think your mom's proud of you?
Oh my gosh. She tells me every day. I get a text every day about how proud she is of me.
Why?
I don't want to
Why?
cry on this podcast, but yes.
Why?
Because I think she never expected the kid that I was to be the man that I am. Maybe she didn't realize what potential. I think she knew the potential was there. I just think again I've exceeded anything that she or I expected for ourselves, and she would have been proud of me if I was, regardless. But I know for a fact she's proud of the man I am, the father, the business owner, my role in the community.
The friends you had when you were a kid, would they be surprised at your success nowadays?
I think everybody from that area would be surprised that I'm successful for sure.
Nah, come on.
My
And how
teachers,
many
especially.
how many kids were in the neighborhood, and what was your role with the kids in the neighborhood?
I mean, there were hundreds. We grew up on a block of probably 20 kids on my row home block alone. And again, because of being an only child and feeling like an imposter, I had to be the organizer, or I made myself the organizer and the leader because I'm sure there was some kind of fear that if I didn't do it, I wouldn't be included.
Hmm. So your nature is to constantly pull your brothers and sisters and other extended family around you because you were an only child. Am I reading that right?
I had some friends growing up that were like siblings to me who were also only children. So it was very nice to have that. But I do keep a very tight unit, very tight circle with friends and family right now.
Hmm. You have clients that are close friends too?
I've become very close friends with a lot of my clients. All my friends are clients, but the clients I picked up organically have also become very good friends of mine.
So you're all about relationships, it sounds like to me.
That's all I have going for me is I feel is the ability to build relationships and sustain relationships. I'm not going to beat anybody out in an intelligence contest. I thrive on relationships and
Mhm.
transparency and
Mhm.
authenticity.
What's the website address for this organization known as FRS Advisors?
It's frsadvisors.com.
We've been speaking with Bob Clements, partner at FRS Advisors here on Executive Leaders Radio. Don't forget to visit our website. It's executiveleadersradio.com. To learn more about our executive leaders, it's executiveleadersradio.com. To learn more about our executive leaders, stick around. We'll be back in a moment right after this quick break. Don't go anywhere.